cookery here. We have two examples of the CL350, which is one of my favourite bikes. I've had about 35 of these across the last 7 or 8 years, and they're just brilliant little bikes. What we're going to do, we're going to take this one and make it look like this one, just like we've done with the Kawasaki recently. This is one that came in from Madrid, Iowa, and it's probably the nicest example I've ever had straight off the boat. E-battery on it, and as soon as I put some fuel in it, buttoned up, and it was away. The paintwork was a bit faded, so I've had the paintwork done, and it's made a gorgeous, gorgeous little bike. Sorry, we've got some of the terrible 2-year-old tantrums going on over there. This is one that's come in from Holland in Ohio, and it's a bit careworn, but there's a lot of really good things about it. I think it's going to come back. The tank and panels were in my least favourite colour, which is a thing called Panther Candy Gold, and it's not nice. But I'm a purist, so it's going back into those colours. My paint man, Keith at Spray Tank, he phoned me a pretty short notice and said, did I have one to give him to him quickly as he was passing, so I took the tank and panels off this. The tank on this was painted in an awful matte black, and it's like a black shell over the tank. It was just dreadful. This side panel was on it, but there was no panel at this side, but I had a spare one, so I've given him those. He's got them just now, and I'll have them back across the next week or two. So let's have a walk around the bike and we can see what needs to be done. Okay, here's our little CL350. Just at first glance you can see the front brake is stuck. The indicator stems are quite scabby, but I have some of those in. The good thing about it here is you can tell the bike's not been up the road, it's not been thrown up the road, because these invariably get dinged up and scratched on the leading edge. So the paint's a little, the chrome was a little bit tarnished, but that'll polish out nicely. Fork legs, as you can see, are just a bit tarnished, but I dare say that they'll come back without too much trouble. Wheels are nice, which is really, really good. Coming back here a wee bit, good stuff. Switches look pretty good. That's bent, but it doesn't matter. That'll come back. This is all pretty straight and clean. Scary part here is, as you can see there, there's a jointing compound all around the top of the valve cover, which tells me that some enthusiastic idiot has been in there. And when a bike's 50 years old as this is, it's hardly surprising that it's not had the misfortune to encounter one of these owners in its life. So that's a screaming flag going up that tells me we could have a problem there. The rest of it looks quite clean. The frame's pretty clean, and the back wheel's pretty clean, and the hub just needs a good polish. Back fender's much like the front, just needs a good clean up. Bolt missing out there, but I have some of those. Coming around this side, let's have a look under this seat. Battery box is all quite, that needs to come out and be painted up, and I'll do something with all this lot and make it look a lot prettier. What else can I show you there? Oh yeah, bolts put in there instead of clevis pins. I have tons of clevis pins, so I'll replace those clevises. Indicator heads aren't the best, they might clean up, let's give them a go. Indicator stems and mounts, I'll take those off and paint them. Good news here is the exhaust is in good condition, because these simply cannot be had, and that'll polish up really, really nicely. So that's a massive bonus in its favour. Some idiot's taken the lifting handle off there. Why would you do that? I really don't know. It just makes the bike so much harder to put up on a centre stand. As I say, the covers, I had this cover. This is a cover specific to this model only because it fits around the scrambler exhaust there. All the rest of it, this stuff here, the gear shift, all this stuff will polish up quite well. So the bike has been dropped at some point. By that I don't mean it's been slid up the road at 45 miles an hour or whatever. It's been dropped because that's bent. If it had been slid up the road, there'd be damage to there, there'd be damage to the end of the foot peg rubber, and this would be badly scratched up, more importantly. So unless someone's replaced these, which I seriously doubt, I don't think the bike's ever been thrown up the road. I don't know when it was last taxed, but we have a tax expiry sticker there of 1978. I suspect it's, I really wouldn't like to say if it's been on the road between now and then, but we'll see. The fork ears are quite nice. They'll come back, as are the indicator heads. So one way or another, it's not all bad news. I don't know when it last ran, but it's many, many years. But let's get it in there. let's get it up on the stand and we'll see if we can make that bike look like that bike across the next couple of weeks. Right, we've got this little bike up in the stand now, and I've had a look round and I've given it a wee rub with some polish here and there. And I'm beginning to think maybe it hasn't run since 1978. There are some things that are standing out quite strongly. However, it's not all bad news. There's some excellent examples of Honda quality throughout the bike. The fenders are in great condition, they're really nice. I've given this a wee rub up with some polish and they've come up great. Likewise the wheels, they're standard genuine DID fittings and they're going to clean up really nicely. The tyres, I'm almost sure are the original ones, they're the genuine Bridgestones. They're quite age cracked, which is a good indicator that they've been on a long time. So that would suggest that it's certainly not run for a long time. The headlight buckets got a piece out of it there, that's quite common. These are made of polycarbonate, they're very, very brittle. They can be had quite cheaply. Let's give you a look round some of the little bits of it. Right, if you look at the forkies, I've given us just a little rub of some metal polish, just 2 or 3 minutes, just to see what's beneath that. And look how those have come really, really nicely. The indicator heads, well, they're okay. Would I run them again? It's touch and go. I like to run them if I can. And you can get new ones quite cheaply, but you put new ones on. Well, they're not the old ones, are they? And I like the old ones. I've given the fork leg just a little rub there, and that's come up quite nicely. These are, I think, the vehicle taxation stickers, and somebody might correct me, but I think that the fork leg is etched, so these will come on. So I'll get that off with some difficulty. I'll need to cut it off a piece at a time, actually, and I'll find that very difficult to polish out. So I might need to use my polishing wheels and polish that quite aggressively, or even my emery tape method that I've shown you. However, let's have a look at it and see when I get it off. You can see the front fender or mudguard there. No damage around the leading edge, which is always nice. Let's take the wheel. There, well, that's going to come up nice. As I always say, don't we just love shiny? That's going to be really nice. I've tried to give that fork leg a little clean. I'll need a bit more with the polishing wheels, as will the hub. The brake is seized. Sorry, that's not true. The brake cable is seized, but the brake, as you can see, is free. That needs a good clean up. What stands out a mile here is the coils are on the wrong way around, and maybe that's telling me a story. They usually sit the other way around. You know, the cables don't hang like that down the front. They don't hang like that down the front. Why would you? They're going to get burnt on the exhaust. They come back over this way. So someone's been having a good broddle. You can see there the cam box has been off. Look, a sign of the enthusiastic amateur is this joint and compound everywhere. I hate that stuff, but I have got gaskets. So let's just see what I need to do with that just now. I suspect what's happened is he's done some work on the engine, and when he's put it back together, he's put the coils on the wrong way, and guess what? It's not going to start. Of course it's not. But you know, let's just hold off on a judgment of that. However, there's good compression, plenty of compression there, good sign. Coming further back, once again, indicator heads, I don't know if you can see the lights on that. There's a big scratch on the edge, so it's been scraped up the wall. It might have been thrown up the road, although there's no damage elsewhere, which might suggest it has. Who knows? Back wheel, really nice. That's going to come up absolutely great. I've given that a little clean, and you can see how nice that is. DID, genuine DID fittings, you know, super quality, and the tyre, as you can see, quite age cracked and not much tread on it anyway. The bike's showing 9,000 and something miles, and I'm beginning to think it's maybe absolutely genuine. I've given the fender a clean, just half of it there, and you can see that's coming up. That's going to be really nice. Good news all the way around so far. The exhaust, once again, I've given that a clean. It's been standing there, and all the kind of moisture has run down there, and that's all corroded. I don't know if that'll come out, but I have some spare ones of those. I tend to never throw anything away if I've got spare ones. Likewise, indicator heads, quite tarnished. I'll make up my mind about that later. What else can I show you? Once again, nasty gunk everywhere. Hate that stuff. And somebody who's only had one size of Jubilee clip, so he's put that on and screwed it down. Never mind. You know, I'll make that look a lot nicer. So I'm not too discouraged. There's no engine oil in it, which is a worry. Well, it's not a worry, it's just something we need to look at. So we'll get some oil in it, we'll get a new battery on it, we'll get a spark up, and let's see if we can get a run out of it. So let's just show you the speedo, just for the mileage. Hang on. Whoa. There we are. Well, the odometer showing 9,700 miles. Somebody's done this mod where they put the switch up there. You know, I'm a purist. They should be down there. The bracket's missing. I haven't got one, but I dare say I can get one, because for me it's going back down there. You can see I've given the carb top a wee polish. That's quite nice. The seat, the rivets are all quite corroded, and I know it sounds like a tiny thing, but you can buy these for nearly nothing. You know, just a few pounds will buy you lots of them. So I'll just put some new rivets in there and, you know, clean the seat up, and you'll be amazed what a smile that puts on the bike. So one way or another, not too discouraged. So let's get a battery on it and see what it does. Speak to you in a wee while, guys. Hi there. We spoke in the kind of preamble about the dangers of the enthusiastic amateur, and that's been borne out with what I've found just while I've been just working around the bike before I start. So let me just show you what I found. This is the advance and retard mechanism. I've just taken this off here because I didn't feel, I wasn't very happy about the way the engine felt when I was turning it over in terms of its balance. So there we go. Look at the screws there. This is the real sign of the bodger. You know, somebody's been bodging away and cut some slots in these screws. Never a good sign. So as I say, I'm not very happy about the way the engine feels, so I'm going to pop this off. I think the valve timing may be out. I'm not fully sure yet. So what I'm going to do, I'll take off this back plate and I'll take off the advanced retard mechanism in there. And when this mark, when this is, when the LT mark is there, that mark, when I rotate that to the top there, there's a peg that sits on the advanced retard mechanism that drives it, that sits on the camshaft, and that should be at the vertical. If it's not, I know we've definitely got a problem. So other things I've found is the barrels have almost certainly been off because our dear friend has been busy, and you can just see in the bottom there the gasket gunk. Where the barrels have been off. Can you see that? I think you probably can. There's a proper screwdriver on it there. There's the gasket flopping about, the gasket gunks flopping about. So the barrels have definitely been off at some point. I suspect he's had the barrels off and couldn't get it running, and that's why it's been parked for all these years. It's clear a long time ago because of the dust that's still laid on top of the cam box there. So it may indeed have been laid up for 40 years. So what I'll do now, I'll pop these off, we'll have a look in there, and if necessary, what I'll do if I find that I'm unhappy with the valve timing still, I can pop these, the housing there off and that at the other end, and once I've got the cam cover off, we can adjust that without too much trouble. I don't need to take the engine out to get it out, but with the knowledge that an idiot's been in there, there are two little pegs that drive the camshaft gear, and they both look very similar, but one's a dowel to align the gear, and one is just a plain threaded one, and they've got to be on the right way. So I'd feel happier checking that anyway. So there we are. This is going to be better from a demonstration and instructional point of view than we perhaps thought. So there's going to be a lot more work involved, but let's get on with it and let's see if we can divine what the problem is. Cheers. And we can also see our bodger in chief has been busy battering the bejesus out of these screws as well. You can see that one is quite battered too. I'll make that up for you. You can see how chewed up that one is there as well. So, and they're the wrong ones. So I've got tons of these, so we can. Okay, I'm going to rotate this now until that mark there, the LT mark, is aligned with the mark there on the generator. So let's just rotate that, and when I do, this peg that you can see there, you can see that peg on on the end of this here. This should be exactly vertical, so we'll just turn that round now. So I'm trying to do this left-handed. And the LT mark is just coming up there now. And as you can see, that peg, I don't know if you can quite see actually, that peg is not quite vertical. It's actually a little bit closer to, not as far as 1 o'clock, but it's sort of between 12 and 1 o'clock. Sorry, I'm trying to get this perspective right for you guys. I don't know if, I think that's as good as you're going to see it. But yes, it's certainly not vertical. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this off here. I'll take that engine mounting and the top of the cam box. Let's get a look in there and see how far out it is. I suspect it's just a little out, maybe a single tooth. But it's enough. It may indeed even run as it is with a thing being out just a tiny bit like that, but it won't run worth a monkeys. So we'll sort that out. We'll turn the coils round, get them the right way, but let's just one thing at a time here, and I'm going to check 1 or 2 things when we're in there. Okay, thanks guys. Okay, as we spoke about earlier, you can see the marks on the stator there, and that LT mark is in line with that mark on the generator. LT is left top, LF is left fire. So the mark on the camshaft gear, which is there, that L, which you may be able to see there, torch down a bit now, down. That L should be vertical, and it's not. It's about 1 o'clock position. So for me to rotate that to position where it's actually at the top, I'll move it now, and to that peg being vertical there. Is to there, and you can see that is now vertical, and the L is now at the top, and you can see how far out we are on these marks. So we're at least a tooth out and maybe a couple of teeth. So I'll need to take these housings off now, drop the camshaft, and then we can adjust that timing. That L being vertical brings that line, which you can probably see on the damper. I'm sorry I've not got enough hand here. If my lighting assistant was here, I may not go, but she's going. You can see that line now. That should be horizontal against the plane of the face there. So when I rotate that to a point where that is now horizontal, like so, there, you can see how far out the timing now is there. So we're definitely out of time, but we'll sort that out, as I say, by taking the housing off here for the advance retard mechanism and the contact breaker points, and the similar one at the far side which just supports the camshaft. So not a big job, so let's go on with that now. And that line on the camshaft damper rubber should be directly vertical, should be directly horizontal across the plane of that face. To set up the valve timing on this engine, I needed to take the cam chain tensioner off, which is this little fella here, and that will enable me to have enough slack to move it along the cam drive gear a little bit as might be required. While it was there, it made sense to get at it. I've got to take the carbs off, so I've got to take the carbs off anyway, because I want to pop them in my cleaner. If the bike's not been run for goodness knows how long, 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many years, I truly don't know, but it's certainly a long time. So the carbs are going to be full of gunk, or the jets are going to be blocked, so let's do the carbs while I'm at it. So I've got the cam chain tensioner off now, and I'm going to try and show you now, with the help of my camera and my telephone, which I'm talking into now, how to time this engine. So let's have a go at it. They're not difficult, but it's just whether I can demonstrate it sufficiently for you. Let's have a go. You can see I've got the rotor set against the left top mark, against the housing there. So we can also see the horizontal mark on the cam gear is not where it should be. So I'm going to rotate that now, get it to the right position, and then I hope you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Right, you can see there that the mark I would hope to horizontal is actually sitting down at an angle of, I don't know, 25 degrees or something like that. But because the cam chain tensioner is off, I can actually rotate the camshaft because it's sagging, the chain is sagging below the crankshaft, and I can rotate that pretty much at will and bring it up to where I think it ought to be. And I think that's probably about there. Because you can see, actually it's probably closer to that. That would be where I want it to be. So I'm going to hold that, and then I'm going to locate it with this so that it can't drop off the... And you'll find when I press the cam chain tensioner there, look, that comes round to exactly where I want it to be, and the line there is now sitting, that line there is now sitting across the plane of the cylinder head faces there, and that tells me that is timed up. And when I put the cam chain tensioner back on, which is this fella here, I will release that, and that little gizmo there is sprung, and it'll pop out like it has done there, and it'll tension the chain for me. And it is that simple. So I'll pop it back together now, and I'll rotate it through a cycle, and then you can see that it's exactly where it should be. Okay, I'm going to take this now, and we'll take it through a rotation, moving that away now. I'll take this up to the LT mark, as we've done so often. And we will see that that line is exactly across the plane of the cylinder head of the cam box, just where I want it to be. So that engine is now timed perfectly. So now I'm going to get all these bits in the parts washer. I'm going to take this back to pieces again. I'm going to make some gaskets up for these housings at the end, and a gasket for the top there. I'm going to wash all this stuff off. I'm going to take all the bits that we've taken out, like this, that are all horrible and dirty and covered in this nasty gunk that I so loathe. We're going to order some air filters because the mice have had a really good chew at these, and they're not... You wonder why mice would do this, don't you? What strange appetites they've got. Still, you'd have to be a mouse to know, wouldn't you? Yeah, and then I'll change these coils round so they fit nicely in the bike as they're supposed to do. I do have the fuel tank back. Keith from Spray Tank brought it back. I'll just show you now quickly. And this was truly horrible. It was done in a kind of matte black. I don't know why people do this matte black thing, but different strokes for different folks, isn't it? But Keith painted it in the original colour. This is what they call Candy Panther Gold. It's not my favourite, but it's what the bike should be in, because you can tell, you know, underneath the tank there were some areas that were that still had some original paint on. So he's done this. This is the correct colour schema and pinstriping for the year, and it's absolutely lovely. So well done, Keith, and up to your usual standard, of course. I've got the side covers and things, they're ready as well. He's repaired those. So when we've done that, we can pop these on, and it's going to look great. So, great stuff. Tune in next week, and we'll get a run out of this little girl. Cheers.